Hello photographers, today I'm going to show you how to make your backdrop any color you want using gels. Now the principle behind this is really simple. All you do is you take a flash and you put a gel on it and then you point it at the background to light it up. Now even though the principle is simple, there are some other factors that we have to deal with in order to get the best looking color we can get. The first is the backdrop itself. Ideally you'll do this against a neutral toned backdrop. That is white, black, or gray. And most people have a white or a black backdrop. Between white and black, I personally prefer white because it gives you a cleaner, richer color. So let's start with white. I have this flash here with the gel on it. And before I put it in place, let's talk about the settings on the flash itself. First of all is the Fresnel head itself, the flash head. Most flashes like this have a zoom capability. In other words, you can change how wide the beam is by changing the zoom setting on the flash. In this case, I have the flash set to 24 millimeters, which is the widest beam possible. And the idea here is we want a wide beam to cover as much of the backdrop as possible. If the beam is too narrow, then the color is going to be concentrated in a very small area and it won't give us a nice, rich, fully colored backdrop. So set your flash beam to its widest angle and also pull out this little panel right here. This actually widens the beam even more, giving you even better coverage on your backdrop. The next thing to consider is the gel itself. You want to make sure that it fully and completely covers the flash head. If it doesn't, if you have a gap, then that unfiltered light is going to hit the backdrop and wash out the color that you're trying to achieve. So if you have a gel like this one, it's not such a big deal because it's pretty easy to cover the whole head. But if you have narrower gels, use gaffer tape along the top and the bottom to cover up the gaps and block any unfiltered light from coming out. So with that, let's put the flash into place. And I'm going to position the light about 5 feet from the backdrop. You don't want the light too close to the backdrop because the closer it is to the backdrop, the less room the light has to spread out. And again, we want it to spread out to cover the full backdrop. So for the type of shot we're going to take, I'm going to set the light at about 5 feet. And the idea is I want to position it centrally behind me as the subject to give a nice gradient right behind me in the photo. Now, the next question is, what power level do we use? The backdrop you're using will dictate the power level that you use. If you're shooting against a white backdrop like this, you're going to want to use a lower power. See, the white backdrop is reflective. More of the light that hits that backdrop is going to reflect off of it into the camera. And that means the more power we put in the light, the brighter the color is going to get, moving that color closer and closer to white. Let me show you what I mean. I've got my camera here with my trigger and I've set the flash power to full power. And when I take a photograph of this backdrop, you can see that there is certainly some blue there. But if you look at the center of the image, there's quite a hot spot showing up. And the reason for that is the most intense light from the flash is hitting this area right here. And it is so bright that it's essentially turning that area of the image white. And we don't want that. We want color there. We also want deeper, richer, more saturated color on the backdrop in whole. So now I'm going to set the power level of the flash to 1/16 power and take that same photograph. And here you can see we've got a much deeper, much richer color across the backdrop. There's a nice gradient, but even in the middle you still have that blue because we've lowered that power. So if we have to lower the power against a white backdrop, then it stands to reason that against a black backdrop you're going to have to increase the power to achieve the same effect. And the reason for that is because a black backdrop is going to absorb most of the light from the flash that hits it rather than reflecting it. So the flash is still set at 1/16 power. Let's see what this looks like. And there you can see that it does not look very good at all. The majority of the color is focused on the center, but it's a very muddy, very ugly, not pleasing color at all. We want as much of that light to reflect as possible off of the backdrop. Because the black is so absorptive, we have to turn the power up. So I'm going to turn that power back up to full and take another photograph. And there you can see we've got a better, much richer color. Now, the color doesn't look great in this photograph because I'm using a black vinyl, and honestly, black vinyl isn't really ideal for this. You're better off with black paper or black canvas or cloth type backdrops. So that's the basics of it. With your gel on your flash, you set your flash up and you determine the power level you'll need based upon your backdrop. But that's just for the backdrop. We haven't brought the subject into the situation or the lights for the subject. And that's where things get a little bit more complicated. So let's do that next. So I'm going to be taking a self-portrait. I've switched back to the white because, as I mentioned, the black vinyl doesn't make for a great backdrop for this purpose. And I've got the light in the exact same spot. Because we're on the white backdrop, we're back to 1/16 power for this light. I'm going to be standing right here in front of the flash. That blocks the flash from the camera sight. So I'll get the color without having to Photoshop anything out. And then this light over here is going to be the light for me as the subject. It's in a partially collapsed umbrella because I don't want super duper soft light, but I want some softening to it. And the light in here is a Godox TT560 set to 1/2 power. And this light is set basically at a 90-degree angle from the camera. I want it to mostly light up this side of my face and put some shadow over here. So let's take a photograph and see how that looks. And that looks pretty decent, but you should notice something. Look at the blue in the background. Compare that to the blue that we got when it was just the backdrop light. That color is washed out, isn't it? The reason that's happening is that light from this flash is spilling onto the background and washing out the blue from this light. So in order to maintain the depth of color that we want on the background, we have to stop this light from being able to get to the backdrop. We're going to do that by flagging it. And I've got a flag sitting right here. It's just 3 pieces of foam core that I got from the dollar store. So this is a $3 flag with some gaffer tape. And what I'm going to do is tape it to the ceiling to prevent the light from spilling onto the background. So with that in place, let's take another photograph. Now check that out. We've returned that richness to the background. All we had to do was block this light from being able to get to that backdrop. Super duper simple. Now this is just one way you might set up your lights for a subject. Wherever you might use lights on your subject, watch for how that light interacts with the background and be prepared to flag it off in order to maintain the color that you're trying to achieve. And with that, you can change your background to any color you want, like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. So that's all there is to it. The main things to remember are that against a white backdrop, you're generally speaking going to want to lower the power of the background light. And against a darker backdrop, you're going to want to raise that power. And then when you're setting up your other lights for your subject, make sure you flag them off so that they're not spilling onto your background and washing out your color. Now, if you have any questions about using gels to change your background color, let me know down in the comments. And if you want to get my cheat sheet that takes you step by step through the setup process for this, go visit this link right here to get it. And then do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to my channel and get out there and take some damn photos. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Flash photography can be intimidating, especially when you first get your flash gear and start wondering, how the heck do I use this stuff to create gorgeous photos like the pros do? To help you with that and to save you years of time, I put together a complete flash photography course to help photographers just like you. All you gotta do is visit this link right here to check it out and then get out there and take some damn photos.